Let's talk about procedures, functions, and methods. These are all a significant part of programming. They help to compartmentalize very large programs, making them easier to understand, as well as to make changes, adjustments, and updates. In an earlier lesson, different approaches for software development were discussed, such as top-down, bottom-up, and object-oriented. The key aspect to any of these is the use of procedures, functions, and methods. Each of these modules in any program does something significant and important, whether it is a single small task or a more substantial, complex process. Let's discuss the difference between these three terms. Some languages use the word procedure to indicate a block of code that performs some kind of task, like outputting an array of integers or sorting the elements in a data collection. The term function often indicates a module that does a calculation and returns a value. The term method is used in some current languages to refer to both of these, where a void method indicates a procedure and a return method indicates a function. This is how these modules will be indicated in all of the pseudocode examples for these lessons, as well as those on the certification test. Methods are like tools on a workbench, ready and able to perform their function whenever you need them. You simply pick up the tool, hammer in the nail, drill a hole in the wood, saw the board into two pieces, or use a clamp to hold your project together. You can use these tools as often as you need to, only having to define them once in a program. Let's work step by step through this pseudocode example of a program that contains a void method. There are actually two void methods here. Lines 4 and 5 contain the main method, which is required by most programming languages as the starting point for program execution. The only command in main is a call to the sayHello method, which is defined on lines 1 and 2. A call is simply a command to activate or execute a method, either one that has been previously defined as a part of a library of methods or one that is explicitly defined within the program, like this one. Calling a method is like picking up and using a tool, as we talked about earlier. The string inside the parentheses that contains the word John is referred to as a parameter, a value or variable in parentheses, used to pass information from the method call to the method definition. We'll talk more about parameters later on. This method is an example of one you as the programmer might define in order to do a specific task needed for your project. These are often referred to as user-defined methods, as opposed to library methods, ones that already exist as a part of most languages. The one and only statement in the body of this method is a print statement, which contains a string parameter, but is actually three separate items pieced together using the plus sign, the concatenation operator, which is a connector to join strings with other values, much like you would connect train cars together. The result of this three-part concatenation or connection is the string Hello John, with the strings hello and the exclamation mark always the same, but the name part depending on the parameter value that is listed in the method call from main. So if the method call in main was say hello Susie, then the output would be hello Susie. Make sense? Let's look at a definition for a return method called square, which is shown here on lines 1 and 2. Line 1 contains the heading, which is made up of three parts. Int, indicating the return type. Square, the name of the method, and the parameter list with the integer variable num inside the parentheses. This return method is different from the void method we looked at first. Line 2 of this method actually returns a calculation using the parameter num times itself. The program begins execution on line 4, where the main method starts, first initializing the value of x to 5, and then printing a statement that contains several parts. The call to the square method is included here as a part of the parameter of this print statement. It is included in a concatenated string that starts with the original value of x, a string label that gives some meaning to the output, and then the call to the square method, using the value of x as the parameter. The output result is predictable, as is shown here. If we changed the value of x in main to 6, the output would also be changed, as you can see. These two methods are very simple examples of what can be done within a program. All methods follow these basic structures and are customized based on the task at hand. To summarize, you have learned the basics about procedures, functions, and methods, and have explored 2 simple examples. And now work through the various learning tools that have been provided in association with this lesson.